Now on CoastTV News.
Plans to build in Milford. What exactly is proposed here? Georgetown growth. The final hours to weigh in on a multi-layered project in the county seat.
Well, after a flawless Mother's Day weekend on the Delmarva Peninsula, I'm tracking increasing clouds and shower and storm threats throughout the week. We have an unsettled stretch of weather that's going to be beginning to develop. I'll break it all down and have the latest rainfall totals coming up in my latest forecast.
And Rob Zombie coming to Ocean City, who he is replacing at Boardwalk Rock.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Lewis Lodging and how to tax it back in the hot seat again. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf. We begin tonight with new information on a proposed lodging tax. The city of Lewis considering adding 2% on hotels, motels, and tourist homes located within the city. Council says this would generate revenue to support public services. But as Emma Aiken shows us, businesses fear this might go too far.
Rick Quill owns the Blue Water House. He already pays the state an 8% tax, and he thinks the 2% lodging tax on hotels, motels, and tourist houses that Lewis City Council is considering wouldn't be fair.
Are we the low-lying fruit on the tree that you pass along this tax to the customer? I fight for my customers.
Quill says it's the customers that would take the burden of that fee. According to the Lewis City Charter, the City Council has the ability to charge up to 3% for this type of lodging tax. The current 2% proposal is short of that, but if it does move forward, the city says the money would be used to support public services. Jesse Burns with the Inn at Canal Square is also worried what higher fees would mean for customers.
With those price points, it makes it very difficult for people to travel, especially in these difficult times. Every 8% counts. So, or 2 on top of that even, yes. So every 2% does count.
Burns also says it is hard for hotels to compete with rental properties.
We have a tremendous amount of overhead that these properties don't have. Employees, the main one.
In a tourist spot, local hotels hope the tax, if imposed, won't deter visitors from booking that next vacation here along the coast. For Coast TV News, I'm Emma Aiken.
The city is also considering increasing the tax on short-term rental properties. That would go from 5% to 5.5%. The city considers short-term rentals as anything less than 30 days. And just like that possible hotel tax, it has been faced with concern.
People that come to rent, they tend to spend money in the community. They go to restaurants, they go to the parks, and the different things in the community. So they're actually bringing in more money through staying, and it's going to discourage those people.
Accessory dwelling units used for long-term rentals, those might be exempt if they qualify as affordable rent and are approved by the city of Lewis. Those tiny homes are also up for discussion in Lewis Monday as an effort to increase more affordable housing. To Milford now, where one little open lot could become new apartments and businesses. Zach King wants to make this a mixed-use 4-story building with up to 16 apartments, saying affordable housing is the main goal. King is also proposing a restaurant and bar business on top of the building and even a business in the basement of the project.
Commercial space we can fit into a building means more rents coming from those commercial tenants. Which effectively means less money we have to make off the apartment units.
Now, Milford City Council will hear a conditional use application on that project Monday. Let's show you exactly where we are talking about. The lot is between 111 and 115 North Walnut Street, there in downtown Milford. You're looking at a 21-acre plot of land on North Bedford Street in Georgetown, and tomorrow is your last day to give thoughts on planned development there. Here's a different look at the lot. Developers want to build 60 single-family homes, plus 28 duplexes and also 20 townhomes. According to town documents, Habitat for Humanity has been working with the applicant to provide up to 20 units of workforce housing. Georgetown's town manager says it's ready for the development if it's approved.
Through use of American Rescue Plan Act funds, we've been able to completely rebuild most of our water infrastructure, and we're in the process of doing that with sewer as well.
A first reading of a draft ordinance on rezoning the parcel will be read at Monday night's meeting. To Ocean City now, big news for people going to Boardwalk Rock. Rob Zombie is now playing the festival next weekend in Ocean City. Rob Zombie plays Saturday at 6:50 p.m. Here's how we got there. Zombie was added after the group Alice in Chains dropped out. The group says it's canceling all performances due to drummer Sean Kinney's health, saying it's their top priority, in part, quote, although the issue requires immediate medical attention, his long-term prognosis is positive, saying they sincerely appreciate understanding and support. And interesting here, Alice in Chains was actually a replacement for a different band that dropped out. Motley Crue was first advertised as one of Boardwalk Rock's headliners, but in early April, Motley Crue announced that they were out. And that was due to frontman Vince Neil recuperating after a required medical procedure. At that time, Alice in Chains jumped in, and again now, instead, it will be Rob Zombie. We have all the information you need to know about Boardwalk Rock right now on our website, CoastTV.com, or our app. The city of Milford is considering 3 red light cameras. Let's show you where they are. One is Route 113 at 10th, and then 113 at Road 14, then also Route 14 at Washington Street. According to city documents, the intersections you see here, they have frequent red light running, and a camera is viewed as a good option for safety. Council will think this over on Monday. Let's go ahead and take a live look into Milford as we speak about it and turn it over to our First Alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobuono. Chris, absolutely beautiful weekend.
Oh, without question. I mean, we had mostly sunny skies throughout the entirety of the weekend, and today we had temperatures in the lower 80s, and on top of that, humidity levels are still low, so very rare that you get temperatures in the 80s and lower humidity, right? 84 was our high in Georgetown, 82 Salisbury. We were in the lower 80s across the eastern shore, high of 77 in Ocean City. It's been a rather pleasant night. We've had clear skies. Temperatures are in the 60s right now, 60 in Salisbury, 61 in Bridgeville. We're at 63 in Milford, 69 in Lewis, 64 in Bethany Beach. And we'll fall a few more degrees here overnight into the mid-50s as we see some of those high clouds continue streaming in. You can see a whole lot of moisture down here across the south. This area of low pressure centered over Mississippi is eventually going to lift northeastward over the next few days. Before that, though, we start with a few sun and clouds to start. Temperatures rising into the upper 70s to near 80, so it's going to be a rather warm day with increasing clouds. We'll talk more about the rain chances, when the rain arrives, how much rain we could expect to see, and when we'll see more summer-like temperatures in that extended forecast. Maddie?
Thank you, Chris. The world's Catholics welcomed the Pope this week. The first Pope from North America is Chicago-born. Reed Binion shows us what the new Pope Leo emphasized in his first Sunday blessing.
Buona Domenica!
Pope Leo XIV walked out onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica Sunday to thunderous applause from an ecstatic crowd to deliver his first Sunday blessing and first Vatican address since his election. Officials in Rome prepared for 150,000 people to gather in St. Peter's Square. Ahead of the Pope's address, the entire area was alive with music as hundreds of musicians from around the world marched into the square. Taking the balcony, the new pontiff led the faithful before him in the Regina Coeli, or Queen of Heaven prayer, for the first time. He surprised the crowd by singing part of the prayer.
Hallelujah!
In his first Vatican address since his election, Pope Leo issued a call for peace.
In
today's dramatic scenario of a third world war being fought piecemeal, as Pope Francis said, I too turn to the world's leaders with an ever-timely appeal. Never again war.
The Pope called for peace in Ukraine, a ceasefire in Gaza, as well as humanitarian aid and the release of hostages. He also said he welcomed the announcement of the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. As massive as the crowd was Sunday, even greater numbers are expected to fill St. Peter's Square during Pope Leo's installation Mass on Sunday, May 18th. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
In case you didn't know, the Pope is also a Villanova alum. Did you know that? He was a math major, and this morning the university's president recalled the moment in school, saying they found out in the middle of finals. Pretty cool there. Well, guess what? The world does remain fascinated with the first American Pope and his what almost feels like a normal upbringing before this holiest office. David Culver reports on the life of Pope Leo pre-papacy.
Some take pride that he's from the U.S., others that he's Peruvian. But here in Rome, where Pope Leo XIV spent key chapters of his life pre-papacy, the folks we meet say he's been one of us for years.
It was in the early 80s that Robert Prevost first came here to Rome, studying as a young seminarian right here at the Angelico.
The Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas. It's here he earned his doctorate in canon law, with a thesis on leadership in the Augustinian order. He was also ordained a priest here in 1982. Not long after, he left Italy for Peru, where he spent a decade as a local pastor, seminary director, and teacher. But Rome came calling again. In 2001, Prevost returned to lead the entire Augustinian order. As prior general, the Eternal City became his home base for another decade plus.
So this is where he lived those years as head of the Augustinian order worldwide. Just so happens to be across the street from the Vatican. And you knew him or know him personally?
I know him personally, yeah.
Father Virgilio Passioni, a fellow Augustinian, says those years expanded Prevost's global experience and understanding across Europe, the Americas.
At the same time, the Asia, because as a general, he used to go sometimes to India to visit our communities, to Australia, Korea, to Japan, and so on. But anyway.
Inside the spiritual home of the Augustinians in Rome, the Basilica of St. Augustine, Father Virgilio says he knew Prevost was destined for the papacy.
It was not a surprise for me because I was quite sure about his election.
You were sure?
I must admit, I told it to many people.
He says they met decades back and had lunch just a couple of months ago.
He's a very kind person, very friendly, very discreet.
And should Leo share Francis's devotion for this basilica, especially St. Monica, St. Augustine's mother, Father Virgilio says you might find him at this side altar, where he says several times Pope Francis would unexpectedly show up.
Came out from the sacristy and I saw him and I called the other friars. There is the Pope in the church.
And he was praying.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe Pope Leo will come here to pray too.
Maybe.
And if he does and is nostalgic for a meal on the way back to the Vatican, we hear you might find him here.
This, apparently, one of his favorite restaurants, Pizzeria.
Hours after the conclave ended, the restaurant staff reportedly threw a big party for his win. Whether he be Peruvian, or from the U.S., or Augustinian even, many in this iconic and ancient city just see Pope Leo as a longtime resident, now neighbor. And those, like Father Virgilio, hope he'll still stop by, if only to tell him,
Roberto, all the best.
And it was interesting speaking with Father Virgilio and asking him about the nationality aspect of things. Does he see Pope Leo as American, as Peruvian, as really anything? And he said no. And he goes, I genuinely push back on that because he says he and most he knows here in Rome don't label him that way. They really see him as universal, somebody representing the entire globe. David Culver, CNN, Rome.
And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what you think is the most interesting thing about the new Pope Leo. Take a look at the results so far. He's American is getting most of the vote, but emphasis on charity getting a solid second place there. And we do have another comment tonight. This is Zoe Mitchell from Salisbury, who says they picked the right guy. Well, you can still vote if you would like to do that. You can just go to our website or our app. Monday morning on Coast TV News, 8 homes proposed for the old Lewis Dairy lot on Pilot Town Road. What action is expected? And then coming up Monday evening, a look at Milford expanding, this time in a big middle school. Tune in for that and more.
Well, we're going to kick off our week with mostly cloudy skies, still a bit on the mild side. Few late showers roll in and then things turn unsettled really as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday with on and off rain. I'll have the latest rainfall totals in my latest forecast in minutes.
And also Georgetown fundraiser, the subject of town attention tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. We're back in just 60 seconds. Georgetown's ambulance service is looking to raise some money. On Monday night, one town council item agenda is talking about a fundraising carnival for the service. Georgetown's ambulance service was founded by the American Legion. It's also called Station 93. No word yet on where this carnival would be or when, if it gets the green light or moves forward on Monday. Maryland State Police are investigating after shots were fired into a Stockton Road home. Police say it was 1:30 a.m. Good news, though, nobody hurt there. The season may be 4 months away, but is it ever too early to talk football? Well, tune in tomorrow morning as Mike Tirico will exclusively announce one of the NBC's biggest matchups of the NFL season that we're going to have on our channel. This is ahead of the full schedule release on Wednesday. And remember, Coast TV is your exclusive home for Sunday night football. Spending time with mom along the coast, what local restaurants say they saw this year.
Well, I am anxiously awaiting that NFL schedule. A mix of sun and clouds tomorrow morning. A warm start, 60 degrees. It's going to be a warm afternoon, even with the added cloud cover. But I am tracking some rain, even multiple days of a rain threat coming up. We'll break it all down in that full 7-day forecast coming up next. Well, I hope all the moms had an enjoyable weekend. We had sunshine really wall to wall Saturday into Sunday, and we were quite warm today in the 80s. It's been a mild night. We're at 60 right now in Salisbury. Winds are rather calm. You can see temperatures across the area. We're at 68 in Lewis, 58 in Long Neck, 64 Bethany Beach, 62 in Milton, and we're at 60 in Bridgeville. So we are going to be dealing with more clouds in play tomorrow, especially throughout the afternoon and the evening. Temperatures, though, still on the mild side. We'll see a few late showers roll in by the evening, and then that will turn into quite an unsettled weather pattern as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday with on and off showers, and then we'll stay unsettled even through late week. But I think by the end of the week, it's feeling more summer-like, and the shower and storm threat becomes a bit more isolated in nature. You can see we're clear, all under the influence of high pressure. Showers remain to the south. You can see a whole lot of rain coming out of the Gulf, moving over Florida into the Carolinas. You can see this big area of low pressure, pretty broad, hasn't really budged over the last few days. It's eventually going to lift northeastward here and bring rain chances. But not only rain chances, unfortunately, it's going to bring humidity in the picture. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some muggy conditions here Tuesday through the end of the week. Now, our Monday features mild conditions, 80 in Milford tomorrow for your high, 79 in Georgetown. We'll see 80 in Cambridge. Can't rule out a late shower, 79 in Salisbury, and then we're looking at a high of 73 in Ocean City. Along the coast, 72 under mostly cloudy skies in Lewis. 68 in Rehoboth, 72 in Dewey, and we're at 71 in Bethany Beach. So there's that system lifting northeastward here in the coming days, virtually tracking right over us as we go into Wednesday, into Thursday, but that's going to pull in moisture, and you could see rain chances really begin to ramp up Tuesday. I think the heaviest batch of rain comes in Tuesday night through Wednesday, and then as we go in the latter part of the week, the rain threat becomes more isolated in nature, so it's not going to be a complete washout of a week. So there's the cloud cover in play through tomorrow afternoon. Most of the day is dry. Can't rule out a spotty shower by the evening, especially across the eastern shore and the southern half of Delmarva. We wake up Tuesday, it's a damp day. We see southeast winds, spotty showers around. Again, not a complete washout, kind of on and off showers. But then as we go into Tuesday night, you could see some heavier rain roll in, even a rumble of thunder as we go into the wee hours of Wednesday. Not looking at anything severe. We wake up Wednesday, still on the damp side, but I think as we get in the afternoon, we'll see some breaks in the clouds and we'll see a few spotty showers. So rainfall totals at least Tuesday through Wednesday, we're looking at on average an inch. Could see some higher totals as you make your way towards the eastern shore. As we go into Thursday, that system lifts northeastward. We see more spotty showers in nature Thursday, and then Friday we deal with a cold front, and then another front comes through Saturday night. So temperatures rise, though, by the end of the week. 86 Friday with a late shower or thunderstorm, and then we see another cold front move through Saturday, 85, and we're looking at temperatures staying really in the mid-80s through next weekend.
All right, Chris, thank you. Ocean City is packed full of cars with families taking the time to celebrate Mother's Day together. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zapay shows us how businesses benefited from Mom's Big Day.
In Ocean City, thousands of families are spending time with their mom on Mother's Day.
Just be nice to your mom.
Whether it's on the boardwalk or eating out, Cindy Zweigbaum, one of the owners of the Bayside Skillet, says today always brings in crowds.
I'm too busy to do this interview, we're so busy.
Just like the Bayside Skillet, restaurants in Ocean City are full of diners wanting to spend time with their moms. And after a bite, you could find families on the boardwalk for an amazing stroll along the coast. And Luke Miller has nothing but kind words to say to his mother.
I love her very much because she's always supportive and she's nice, and even when we make mistakes, she cheers us on.
According to Zweigbaum, this has been one of the busiest days so far in 2025 and is completely different from last year's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day always brings out a crowd for breakfast. It's a great time to celebrate. We have beautiful weather. Last year the weather was terrible. And today it's awesome, so we're enjoying a busy day.
With today almost to a close, be sure you wished your mom a happy Mother's Day. I'm Kevin Zapay in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
In case you missed it, soon you'll be able to fly non-stop from Salisbury to Orlando. Breeze Airways will begin service in October. Flights will be available twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. One-way fares start as low as about $59. Gets up to around $115 depending on how many bags you have. Now, locals say this is significant not just for Wicomico County, but the entire Eastern Shore.
This is going to open up a whole bounty of opportunities for new business growth, and it's going to certainly help existing businesses, our hospitality industry, restaurants. So, more to come, but I think this is a big deal.
Could potentially be.
Airport staff say a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation helped make this possible by providing $800,000 to attract and get a new airline up and running there in Salisbury. After the break here on Coast TV News, the price of flowers going up. How much more Mom's bouquet was forecast to cost. But first, money talks in Milford. How much is proposed to pay the new city manager? Up next. The Trump administration is prepared to accept a super luxury plane called a Palace in the Sky from the royal family of Qatar. Sources familiar with the deal say the plan has been in the works for some time and will be done according to U.S. and international laws and ethics rules. The $400 million plane would be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation once Trump ends his second term. The city of Milford is deciding how much to pay its next city manager. According to documents submitted ahead of Monday night's meeting, an offer to the current city manager candidate sits at $180,000. But the current city manager, who is retiring, suggested the city up that to $195,000. The reason being the new candidate's experience and the salary is in line with similar towns and more. You might remember Rehoboth made waves for paying its new city manager $250,000 a year, plus $50,000 for moving expenses and a $750,000 housing loan. A 34-year-old woman was shot as she sat inside her home in Smyrna. That is according to state police. Troopers say the 34-year-old was at her Clayton Avenue home around 4:30 a.m. Saturday. She is expected to be okay. Police are searching for who is responsible. Flights were once again grounded at Newark International Airport following another equipment outage. The FAA says there was a communications issue at Philadelphia Tracon Area C that guides aircraft in and out of the airport there in New Jersey. This comes after a 90-second-long radar and radio outage Friday at the same facility and a similar incident on April 28th. The largest flower district in the U.S. is seeing prices of flowers maybe almost double what they were for last year's Mother's Day. That's in part because about 80% of the flowers that are sold in the U.S. come from overseas. Colombia is the top importing country where we get our flowers. There's a 10% tariff there. Now, flower vendors think the tariffs plus consumer unease right now are contributing to the higher prices. After the break here on Coast TV News, a little love for our moms this Mother's Day.
And we are looking pretty warm to start the week, even with more cloud cover in play for our Monday, right around the 80-degree mark. Can't rule out a spotty shower by Monday evening. We'll have a look at that 10-day forecast coming up.
The Delaware Department of Agriculture says thousands of chicks rescued from a shipping mishap will soon be up for adoption. Ag says more than 10,000 chicks and other birds were found abandoned in boxes. We now know the state says they came from Freedom Ranger Hatchery in Pennsylvania. some were getting shipped as far away as Washington State. Unfortunately, 4,000 of those birds died due to being stranded in the heat, but thousands more survived. The first state animal shelter will be putting the chicks up for adoption this week, according to the Department of Agriculture. Tonight and Monday night will be the perfect time to watch May's full moon, known as the flower moon. The moon got its nickname to signify the many blossoms of spring. May's full moon is also a micromoon. Now, that occurs when the moon is at its greatest distance from Earth and appears smaller than a typical full moon. I noticed that myself today. But hey, guess what? One more thing. It is Mother's Day, and pictured are photos of the Coast TV weekend crew and their moms from various stages of life, of course. That's my mom and I in the very top there. For all of our moms, we appreciate you. And Chris, you got that great picture of you and your mom at a hockey game?
Yeah, we were at a Flyers game. It was the Hockey Fights Cancer night. That's why we had all the purple on there. But yeah, I had a chance to have breakfast with my mom this morning. Hope all the moms had a wonderful Mother's Day. And yeah, more on that flower moon. Unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of cloud cover tomorrow. The peak of it is tomorrow. And yeah, that is when that signifies the flowers that bloom in the northern hemisphere. And this is the 5th of 12 full moons for the rest of the year. So pretty cool there as we go into tomorrow night. You get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Alert Weather phone. And now your 10-day forecast shows 80 tomorrow. And then we have showers rolling in Tuesday, especially Tuesday night into Wednesday. Could see some heavier rain there. And then we just see an isolated shower and storm threat really Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Humidity is going to be on the rise, as well as those temperatures by late week.
Chris, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News. For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. We'll see you in just a few hours for Coast TV News today, starting at 5. Have a great night.